The moment I opened the bridal suite door, my entire world shattered. The laughter from the wedding hall downstairs still echoed through the hotel corridors. The scent of fresh roses filled the air. Family members were dancing, taking photographs, and celebrating what should have been one of the happiest days of our lives. But behind that door, for hours after my brother said, "I do," I found my husband standing far too close to my brother's new bride. Neither of them noticed me at first. Neither of them expected me to walk in. And in that single moment, 20 years of trust collapsed like a house built on sand. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances still exist in this world, please take a moment to like this video, comment below where you're watching from, share this story with someone who loves emotional real-life stories, and subscribe to Lifeline Central for more powerful journeys that touch the heart. My name is Marissa Holloway, and until that day, I thought I had the perfect life. I was 38 years old, married to a successful architect named Corbin Mercer. We had spent 15 years building a life together. We owned a beautiful home near the lake, raised a wonderful teenage daughter named Ivy, and shared what appeared to everyone else as a happy marriage. My younger brother, Sterling Holloway, was my best friend. After years of searching for love, he finally found it in a woman named Celeste Rowan. Celeste was elegant, charming, and beautiful. Everyone adored her from the moment Sterling introduced her to the family. Their wedding was held at a luxury countryside resort on a bright spring afternoon. Sunlight streamed through stained glass windows while guests smiled and wiped away tears during the ceremony. I remember feeling grateful that day. Grateful for my husband. Grateful for my family. Grateful for life. Looking back now, I realize how dangerous it can be when happiness makes you blind. The ceremony ended around 2 o'clock. The reception began immediately afterward. Music played. Champagne flowed. Guests filled the ballroom with laughter. Around 6 in the evening, Sterling approached me looking concerned. He asked if I had seen Celeste. I hadn't. He explained that she had disappeared nearly 20 minutes earlier. At first, nobody worried. Brides often need a few moments alone during overwhelming events. But as more time passed, concern began spreading through the room. I volunteered to help search. I checked the gardens first. Then the terrace. Then the quiet lounge areas. No sign of her. As I walked through the upper hotel floors, I noticed something strange. Corbin wasn't answering his phone. That wasn't like him. He always answered. Always. A small feeling of unease settled into my stomach. I tried convincing myself it was nothing. Maybe his battery died. Maybe he was helping staff with something. Maybe he stepped outside. But something felt wrong. As I continued searching, I noticed the door to the bridal suite was slightly open. The room had been reserved exclusively for Celeste throughout the day. A faint light glowed from inside. Thinking I might finally find her there, I gently pushed the door open. And that's when my life changed forever. Corbin stood near the large vanity mirror. Celeste stood beside him. Her wedding gown was partially unzipped. His hands rested on her waist. Their faces were inches apart. The shock was so powerful that my body simply stopped functioning. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Couldn't move. The room seemed to spin around me. Then they noticed me. The color drained from both their faces instantly. Nobody said anything. Nobody needed to. The truth stood between us louder than any confession. I backed away slowly. My legs felt weak. I remember hearing my own heartbeat pounding inside my ears. I walked out without saying a single word. The hallway felt endless. Every step felt heavier than the last. By the time I reached the elevator, tears were streaming down my face. Downstairs, hundreds of guests continued celebrating. Nobody knew the disaster unfolding above them. Nobody knew that a marriage had just ended. Nobody knew that another had been destroyed before it truly began. I found an empty conference room and locked the door behind me. Then I broke. Years of love. Years of trust. Years of sacrifice. Everything poured out in tears. I cried until I could barely breathe. Eventually, someone knocked. It was Sterling. The moment he saw my face, he knew something was wrong. I wanted to protect him. I wanted to spare him the pain. But some truths cannot remain hidden. I told him everything. Every detail. Every horrible second. I watched his face collapse as the reality sank in. My brother sat silently for several minutes. Then tears filled his eyes. I had never seen him cry before. Not when our father died. Not when he lost his first business. Not even during difficult years when life tested him relentlessly. But that night, he cried. And so did I. Two broken siblings sitting on opposite sides of an empty conference table. Neither of us knowing what tomorrow would look like. The wedding ended early. Family members sensed something was wrong. Questions spread quickly. Eventually, the truth emerged. Corbin admitted the affair. Not only had it happened that day. It had been happening for nearly a year. Nearly a year. While attending family dinners. While smiling in photographs. While looking me in the eye and promising he loved me. For almost 12 months, both of them had been living a lie. The weeks that followed became some of the darkest of my life. Corbin moved out. Sterling filed for annulment. Friends chose sides. Family relationships fractured. Every memory suddenly felt contaminated. I stopped sleeping. Stopped eating. Stopped recognizing the woman staring back at me in the mirror. Betrayal changes people. It steals certainty. It steals confidence. It steals peace. For months, I carried anger everywhere I went. I replayed the discovery repeatedly inside my head. I imagined different outcomes. Different choices. Different endings. But no matter how many times I revisited the past, reality remained unchanged. One rainy afternoon, nearly 8 months later, Ivy found me sitting alone on the back porch. She sat beside me quietly. Neither of us spoke for several minutes. Then she placed her hand over mine. And she said something I will never forget. She told me that pain had moved into our house and made itself comfortable. She told me she missed her mother. Not the woman who smiled all the time. Just the woman who still believed life could be beautiful. Her words pierced deeper than any betrayal ever had. That night, I made a decision. I would stop allowing other people's choices to define my future. Healing didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly. One day at a time. One choice at a time. I started walking every morning. Started reading again. Started reconnecting with old friends. Started rebuilding the parts of myself I had abandoned. Meanwhile, Sterling began healing too. The two of us became each other's support system. We learned something important during that difficult season. The people who break your heart should never become the authors of your entire story. They may write one painful chapter. But they don't deserve the final page. 3 years passed. Life looked completely different. I opened a small interior design business. It flourished beyond anything I imagined. Sterling eventually found love again with a kind-hearted teacher named Naomi. She restored his faith in relationships. More importantly, she restored his smile. As for me, I discovered something unexpected. Peace. Not because I forgot what happened. Not because the betrayal stopped hurting completely. But because I finally stopped carrying it everywhere I went. Forgiveness wasn't about excusing them. It was about freeing myself. One summer evening, Ivy and I sat beside the lake watching the sunset. Golden light reflected across the water. The same lake where years earlier I thought my life was perfect. Now I understood something deeper. Perfect lives don't exist. Perfect people don't exist. But resilient hearts do. And sometimes the worst day of your life becomes the beginning of your strongest chapter. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Lifeline Central. Your support helps us continue sharing emotional stories that remind people they are never alone in their struggles. Sparkling Heart special request: comment the word "stronger" below if you believe heartbreak can become the foundation of a better future. As the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, I realized something beautiful. The day I found my husband in that bridal suite felt like the end of everything. But it wasn't. It was the beginning. The beginning of rediscovering myself. The beginning of healing. The beginning of strength I never knew existed. Because sometimes life breaks your heart not to destroy you, but to reveal how much courage was hidden inside you all along. And that courage, once found, can light the rest of your journey forever.